everybody's the Frost, and we're here for our Monday Night Raw review for August the 24th, 2020. We are on our way to Payback, coming to you from the WWE's Thunderdome this coming Sunday. Yes, we do have a pay-per-view coming up this coming Sunday. Now, SummerSlam last night was not a bad show. I will have to say that. I will give them their due. They gave you a decent show. How do you follow this up? It's the first night for Raw being in the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome still is terrible. I don't like it. It's just another shitty gimmick that's going absolutely nowhere and will not help this ratings overall. But what do? The same old garbage week in and week out. We get a heel turn. We get retribution at the end of the show. They debut and the beginning burial of Keith Lee. Banks getting a rematch for whatever fucking reason. And the people who will challenge Bayley and Sasha Banks for the women's tag team titles were revealed, and it just makes no goddamn sense to me. But we open the show up with Tom Phillips walking us in Samoa Joe and Byron Saxton. Asuka will defend against Sasha Banks. Rey Mysterio and son Dominick Mysterio will take on Seth Rollins and Murphy. Hall of Famer Mark Henry will be officiating an arm wrestling contest between Bobby Lashley and United States Champion Apollo Cruz. Yes, it is 2020, and for whatever reason, Vince McMahon thinks that we need an arm wrestling match. Are you kidding me? This is what you did this is what you got the night after SummerSlam. We're going to have an arm wrestling match. Why are we having an arm wrestling match? Well, at Payback, it is going to be Bobby Lashley versus Apollo Cruz. Where have I heard that before? Gee, there was another podcaster on this same website, on this same YouTube, that has been mentioning that it should have been Apollo Cruz versus Bobby Lashley last night. Well, we're going to get it a week later, and I'm pretty sure Apollo Cruz's time as a WWE United States champion will be over, and he'll be back in catering with the rest of his boys. But that is neither here nor there. Tom reveals that Roman Reigns will be on Friday SmackDown to sign a contract for a no-holds-barred triple threat match between Braun Strowman, The Fiend, and Roman Reigns at Payback. So Roman's getting his championship most likely next Sunday. So The Fiend, if it all goes the way Vince McMahon wants to, if it goes this way, The Fiend will be a transitional champion. Them's the breaks, though. Them's the breaks. Out comes WWE Champion Drew McIntyre getting his first big entrance on Monday Night Raw inside the Thunderdome after getting his first entrance in the Thunderdome last night. And I will say that the Thunderdome and being in the Amway Center has Drew McIntyre feel a little bit more important as a champion. He feels like a bigger deal with being inside an actual arena and not inside that performance center, which Tevin Dunn came out and said that it was impossible to do anything great with the Performance Center. And I call bullshit. I call absolute bullshit. They could have actually took time to gussy up the Performance Center to make it look presentable. They could have did this entire, these LED screens at the Performance Center and given us virtual fans for months now, but they didn't do it because they wanted to be lazy about it. It's the Performance Center and they didn't want to actually try. Now that they're here in the Amway Center, they have to try. But he welcomes everyone to Raw from the Thunderdome, which, are you getting tired of that word yet, the Thunderdome? I know I'm getting tired of it already. He gets the virtual fans to give him some thumbs up. He goes on about why he beat Randy Orton at SummerSlam. He's hungrier than Orton and works harder. Drew says he proved that proud to be WWE Champion. He also mentioned the fact that Randy Orton won the greatest wrestling match ever at, Backlash. And he has been talking for weeks how he is the greatest wrestler ever. And what happened? I beat you with a wrestling move, Randy. I beat you with a simple backslide. Excuse me. He challenges Orton to step up again so he can do what he didn't get to do last night and kick his head off with a claymore. He exits the ring. His music starts up. He goes to the stage and does the dumbest thing that any babyface can do. Just ask Johnny Gargano. I'm going to stand at the entranceway with my back to my back to where wrestlers come out. Because what happens? Randy Orton comes out and clobbers him from behind. They brawl. They go to the backstage area, back to gorilla position. They fight some more. He throws Randy Orton gets it, gouges out his eye, throws him into the gorilla position wall, pumps him once. Referees and people pull him back. He punts him again, actually hitting the wall, and that was that. We go to commercial break, and Randy Orton, and honestly looks like we're setting up for Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre 2 at Payback. That is not going to happen. We will talk about who Randy Orton is going to be facing at Payback here in a bit. We come back from break and we see what happened between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. We see Drew's being helped to his feet by a referee and a WWE producer, Sanjay Dutt and Adam Pearce. He brushes them on and says, I'm okay, and walks away, which it does kind of take away, I think WWE is trying to bury the punt again, because last week you had Shawn Michaels eat a punt and get up and just sit there with sit there in the corner with this groggy face like he just got his ass kicked. And then this week you had Drew McIntyre take 2 punts to the face and then get up. It might have taken a minute and it might have been a commercial, but he still got up as if nothing happened. But now, I would have been fine with Drew McIntyre getting up after 2 punts, after a commercial break or so, had Shawn Michaels sold it like Ric Flair did, like the Big Show did, like Christian and Edge had. That would have been better if you would have had Shawn Michaels actually sell the punt, and it would have been a bigger deal for Drew McIntyre to get up from 2 punts. It kind of diminished it completely by having Drew McIntyre just get up, even after a minute or two, to I'm fine, and just walk away. This will not be the last time we see Drew on the night either. Sarah Stravis stops Nia Jax backstage for comments, asking why she's here. Jax asked where her manners are. Shriver reminds her that she was suspended for putting her hands on a WWE official. Jax says all she had to do was go to WWE official Pat Buck and come here, apologize. She's like, what the fuck were you think I was going to say? Get your head out of the gutter. Bazer comes up and says, we're all counting down. We were probably expecting you to say something that would get you suspended again. We're all counting down the days until Jax gets herself suspended again, offers to help Bazer with her match against Bayley tonight. And she's like, yeah. And she walks off. So we have Bayley versus Shayna Bazer. Why? Out comes Bayley for her match. I again don't get why this match is happening. Yes, Bayley lost in the tag team match last week. If you're going to do WWE's normalcy that they like to do, why has Shayna Baszler not gotten a title match? Usually, even in a tag team match, if a singles champion loses, is the one getting pinned or submitted, they end up having to defend their title. They didn't do that. I don't know why. It just would have been what it did. And with the way this match ended, it wouldn't have been a big deal for them to give Bayley and Shayna Baszler a championship match just for the hell of it. But we come to the ring. We have this match. It goes maybe 3 minutes, if that. And then Nia Jax, who came out before the match started. She came out before the match started. Who is sitting there, as you can tell, just chomping at the bit to attack Shayna Baszler. She wants to beat her down. Wants to, attack her for whatever reason. She has her problems with her. And she does that. She pulls out of the ring. They start fighting. Nia Jax actually gets tossed over. Shayna Baszler actually picks her, grabs her and throws her over her, which was freaking amazing. I'm sure Nia Jax helped her with that, but that's neither here nor there. Then they fight into the ring. Bayley and Sasha Banks are yelling, or laughing and enjoying this. They're enjoying the fight that's going on. Then, all of a sudden, with Shayna Baszler down, Nia turns her attention to Bayley and Sasha Banks. Shayna Bazer gets up, turns her attention to Bayley and Sasha Banks. They get out of the ring, sending Bayley and Sasha Banks running, and they look at each other, they have an understanding, and WWE has put it out there now that at Payback, it will be Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for the Women's Tag Team Championships. This is the problem with having the Women's Tag Team Championships. The teams that you have on Raw are the Moronics and the Riot Squad. Neither one of them deserve to have a tag team title opportunity. SmackDown, you have, besides Bayley and Sasha Banks, you have Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. That team seems to be splitting. So who do you have to have these two women defend their titles against? Nobody. So WWE had to go out of the way to have two women who are supposedly feuding with each other to put their differences aside to get a title opportunity and possibly win the tag team titles. Are they going to win the tag team titles? I mean, why the fuck not? Those titles absolutely mean nothing. I know Bayley and Sasha Banks 2 years ago, it's been like, 2 years? It's been, a year now? A little over a year now. Last year. But begged and pleaded and wanted nothing more than to have these titles come into existence. They got them to come into existence, but WWE really didn't have any plan for them. They just decided, we're going to do what you want just to shut you up. We'll give you the championships, and then when we get to WrestleMania, we'll screw you over with them and everything and whatever else. And they just haven't done anything. There's no teams. There's no nothing. These titles mean nothing. I say just merge the tag. If you want these titles to actually do something, you need to merge the divisions. Asuka or Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Asuka should have had a triple threat match for the title, for both titles at the pay-per-view last night at SummerSlam, with the winner becoming the women's champion of both brands. These titles need to be merged, because if you want to have the ability to even have a meaningful tag team title division, you need to merge divisions and give women on both shows a chance to form alliances and possibly make tag teams, because these titles are going nowhere anytime soon. It's just the best you could do is Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax. Wow. So Kevin Owens is backstage looking for Alistair Black. He finally knocks on the door and opens the pitch black. Black must be in there. Owens was wondering if Black is still going to appear on his show tonight. Says he will see Black out there. Owens walks off, and then we see Alistair's arm grab the door and close it shut. Back from break, Kevin Owens is in the ring now with another must-see edition of the Kevin Owens Show. Welcomes us and his guest, Alistair Black. Now, Alistair Black's music hits. No gear sound in it anywhere, which is fine. He comes walking out. He has a cloth or a bandage over his eye that was shoved into the stairs by Buddy Murphy a couple weeks ago. So he comes to the ring. He gets to the stairs, just looks down at him, and doesn't want to. He just hesitates. Then walks around, gets up on the apron, and gets in the ring that way. They have a seat, and Alistair Black makes a mention. I'm sorry, not Alistair Black, but Kevin Owens makes a mention of everything that's been going on with him. How's he doing? And Alistair Black's like, "You just want to show the footage?" And Kevin Owens is like, "We don't have to." He's like, and Alistair's like, "It's fine. I've seen it a million times. Just show it." So they show it, and then let's see here. Owens thinks he knows exactly what Black is feeling because Rollins and his disciples got under his skin. They did it to Owens, making him question why he's here. He keeps talking, and Black stumbles out of his chair. He's holding his eye. He has his hand over his eye and his other arm back, just like leave me alone. And Owens is like, "Are you okay, man?" So Alistair Black gets up, spinning back elbow to Kevin Owens, then a black mass, and he's down. So Alistair Black exits the ring, and apparently Alistair Black is now a heel. Why is he a heel? What plans do they have for him? Is he going to join the disciples of Seth Rollins? I don't know. Vince McMahon has come out. I guess it's come out that Vince McMahon loves the guy who plays Alistair Black. He loves his character. He loves his grit, his determination, his work ethic, and his charisma and all this other stuff. But he just does not like the gimmick Alistair Black. I don't know what WWE is going to do. I don't know what this heel turn is going to turn into. It just is what it is. I can't really say anything else what they're going to do. So Charlie Cruz approaches Sasha Banks and Bayley in the back while they're arguing. They're confident about Sasha winning her title back later tonight, and then when that's over, they're going to get payback on Nia Jax, Shayna, Bazer. They storm off, and we go to commercial break. Fatal 4-way for the 24/7 I-95 7-Eleven Eurocontinental Championship. R-Truth versus Akira Tozawa versus Cedric Alexander versus Shelton Benjamin. I don't give a shit. Akira Tozawa wins. Moving on. Mackenzie Mitchell stops Randy Orton backstage and asks if he has any response for what Drew McIntyre said earlier. Says he does, walks off, and is heading to the ring. So far, we're in this show, I believe, this is like the first hour of the show. And this show absolutely sucks. You had a decent show, probably one of your better pay-per-views of this year last night. And you just give us the same boring, agonizing, terrible fucking content night after night, hour after hour, minute after minute. This is the best you could do for us. This was the best. My God, this show sucks. But he comes out, takes the mic, and goes on about how he's done whatever he's been wanting to do over the last few months, and to whomever he wanted to do. He says he didn't happen at SummerSlam. He promised to everyone that he would RKO Drew, kick him in the head, and take his title, but that didn't happen. He says you can call him a lot of things, but one thing is, and forever he will be as a man of his word. He said he'd kill various legends, and he promised he would kill various legends, and he did because he is the legend killer. Says Drew came out here earlier and said he was presented with the opportunity to kick Drew in the head, so he did it, and it felt so good. Says he kicked Drew twice earlier because he offered Orton a rematch out of pity. Who the hell do you think you are? He reminds Drew who he is, the legend killer, the greatest wrestler. Out comes Keith Lee. Now, we all know Keith Lee's epic NXT music. Bask in his glory, Limitless, all that. Now, it starts off with, we get the, oh, bask in his glory. And then it turns into this generic set of music that is nauseating and doesn't fit Keith Lee whatsoever. He's coming out and he looks like he stole an early version of Samoa Joe's attire and painted it all black, and on top of that, later in the night when he's in his debut match, he's wearing a fucking tank top, a t-shirt, a sleeveless t-shirt. Vince McMahon does not want anybody to have an identity. He doesn't want anybody to stand out. Remember when Killian Dane came up to the main roster, they had him in a singlet? I think Keith Lee's one step away from being in the singlet next. So, WWE, within one segment, ruined Keith Lee. The only thing that he has that they can't take away from him unless they start writing his scripts for him is his mic skills. He smirks at Orton and then stares at each other down. Lee takes the mic and says, Orton seems a little perplexed. Says that would make sense as they haven't been properly introduced, so allow him. Greetings and salutations, Mr. Orton. I've come here to offer Orton his spectacular opportunity, this luxury, this privilege to stop what he's doing just for one moment and bask in his glory. He goes on about how Orton has been called the Viper, the Avex, he's been called many names. The Viper, the Apex Predator, the Legend Killer. But Lee has been called many things too. Game Changer, Anomaly. But one thing he is for certain is he is limitless. Since the Limitless One is here, and since he has his not so good friend, not so good guy, Orton is looking for a fight out of respect of his friend Drew McIntyre. He would step up if Orton is willing to accept his challenge for a one-on-one match right here, right now. He drops the mic, he throws it down, and is willing to accept it. And Orton circles. Orton asks Lee if he wants to fight Orton. Orton asks him again and takes off his jacket. You want it right here, right now? Not right now. And he powders out of the ring. So that match is made for later in the night. Charlie Cruz was backstage with Zelina Vega, Angel Garza, and Demi Burnett. Why is Demi Burnett from The Bachelor here? Why is she still on my TV? What good does Demi Burnett do for WWE on my TV? I don't understand this. What good does she do? I don't get it. So they have their talk. Charlie Cruz comes over. She tries to get Zelina Vega to admit it. She walks away. Angel Garza flirts with Charlie a little bit as well, and he walks off. Who gives a shit? So, we have Angel Garza versus Montez Ford. Demi Burnett's out there along with Andrade. Zelina Vega's nowhere to be seen because she's going to have a match of her own later in the night. So, Montez Ford, of course, wants to get some revenge again because he was poisoned by their manager a couple weeks ago, and they're still holding on to this. WWE's tag team division is dead. Why are the tag team champions in singles matches? Where are the Viking Raiders? This is Raw's tag team division. Viking Raiders, Street Profits, Garza and Andrade. That's it. SmackDowns right now are Miz and Morrison, Cesaro and Nakamura, Lucha House Party, and that's it. Am I missing anybody? That's your tag team divisions on both shows. This is just terrible how WWE is doing with all this. This match, Montez Ford versus Angel Garza, it was a decent match, but it's just Andrade is out there on the ringside to support Garza and everything. Now, Ivar, Angel Garza's having, and this is the thing, you have Montez Ford, one of the tag team champions, taking on Angel Garza. On the side, other than Andrade and Garza feuding with the tag team champions, you have Angel Garza also feuding with Ivar of the Viking Raiders. Why? Why? Over Demi Burnett, I still want to know. What does WWE benefit from a woman on The Bachelor? It was The Bachelor, right? Not The Bachelorette. Bachelor? Yeah. Who cares? And obviously it had to be a previous season of The Bachelor because The Bachelor's not going on right now, if I'm correct. So I don't see, unless, which I know Angel Garza is engaged to or married to whoever his fiance or his wife that he proposed to after winning the Cruiserweight Championship last year and like the end of last year in NXT. Remember that time in NXT when Angel Garza was vying for the Cruiserweight Championship or holding the Cruiserweight Championship? How much bigger of a deal he felt? Now he's in a mini feud with Ivar of the Viking Raiders over Demi Burnett of The Bachelor. Well, Ivar comes down, hand behind his back, holding a turkey leg. He's presented to Demi Burnett. They walk away. Montez Ford takes advantage of the distraction. Goes up top. Goes to the mat. He hits the frog splash or the big crossbody or frog splash, whatever. Gets the pin. And that was that. So, Garza, I honestly think that Andrade and Garza are going to be breaking up here soon because they even mentioned on commentary that Zelina Vega is getting kind of tired of Angel Garza putting that ahead of everything else. Putting the women ahead. Like, he's supposed to be the Lothario of WWE. And he's spending more time trying to flirt with women than he is trying to win championships. And I'm sure she's getting tired of that. So, yeah, I see them breaking them up very soon. And him going off, Andrade and Zelina Vega going off to be in singles. And hopefully that's how that stays. And Angel Garza are out to do whatever the hell they want to. Of course, these two guys were projects of Paul Heyman. And Vince McMahon is slowly trying to take everything that Paul Heyman did and rip it up and throw it away. That is basically what he wants to do. So those guys are probably going to end up breaking up, like I said. And I don't know what comes after that. So Nia Jax approaches Shayna Bazer backstage. Oh, wait, by the way, I forgot to mention this. Earlier, when they were in the back before Shayna Baszler's match with Bayley, Shayna Baszler called Nia Jax Haystacks Calhoun. Holy shit, that popped me. That really popped me. That was funny as fuck. Haystacks Calhoun, of course, was a attraction guy who did mostly battle royals back in, I think, like the 50s or 60s, maybe in the 40s. He was big. He was like huge. He looked like Andre the Giant, but not as tall and a lot thicker. The guy really couldn't work. The guy really couldn't move. He was in battle royals usually because of his size, and how are you going to get a big guy like Haystacks Calhoun out of the ring? I thought it was pretty funny. But anyway, she said she thought about teaming with her on this Sunday, and she hated it for a minute, but she thought about it, and she's like, well, we could possibly win the tag team championships, and I want those titles. So, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, yada yada. And Sasha and Shayna Baszler's like, well, okay, but if I help you with that, will you get off my back and leave me alone? Nia Jax says, of course, if you follow my lead, and pokes her and pushes her. So Shayna Baszler just cold cock slaps her in the face as she walks away. And that's what we have going on for this Sunday. After that, we see Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan walk into the picture. They're talking about what happened last week when Bianca Belair comes up. They have a chat. They're going to go out here and have a match with Zelina Vega and the Moronics, who did not get an entrance. Thank you, WWE, for not making me suffer through another Moronics entrance. But it was, of course, announced that Bayley and Sasha Banks will be taking on Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the titles. We'll have that predictions on the SmackDown show going into that pay-per-view, because we only have a week and we have no train of thought of who's going to be doing what. So, Zelina Vega, Ruby, and the Moronics versus Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. By the way, I think this was the most female-heavy edition of Monday Night Raw we have seen in ages. You had a women's battle royal, a women's lumberjack match, which I hate lumberjack matches, that had the entire roster. Shayna Baszler versus Bayley, Shayna and Nia Jax in 3 different segments. You had Sasha Banks in a match with Asuka. You had this match right here. Just like the entire women's division, and we had the whole thing with Mickie James and them coming up too, which I don't even want to get into, but it is what we have to. But all of it happening at the same, happening on one show. I mean, it's great for them. I know Stephanie wants to give the women's division a lot more to do, but yeah, it just doesn't happen half the time. But anyway, the match didn't go very long. Liv and run into the in with Inzaguri to the Iconics, or the Moronics. Vega and Belair go at it now. Vega with an offense, but Belair connects with a great hand. She looks up follows up with the KOD for the 1-2-3, and they get the win. Honestly, if I told you I paid attention to this match, I really didn't. I can't, like, Vega is good at being a manager. She's a decent wrestler. Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, I can't even deal with anymore. I just don't even care. After the match, Belair stands tall. She music hits, and they have a celebration. And then we see Ricochet and Cedric Alexander backstage goofing off around the arm wrestling mat thing that you use to officially do arm wrestling things. They get their fun interrupted by Mark Henry. But he has to take the equipment, so he does. MVP comes up and is like, "What are you doing, Cedric? Why are you back here goofing around instead of trying to get the 24/7 title back?" MVP and Ricochet has words, and MVP's like, "I didn't ask you a damn thing." MVP accuses Ricochet of abandoning Cedric last week. MVP tries once again to get Cedric to take the offer to join the Hurt Business. MVP ends up walking off, and we go to commercial break. And as that's going on, we're going to commercial break, you hear Cedric say, we're good, man. Like, nothing with him. Like, yeah, so they're still trying to get Cedric to turn to the Hurt Business, and I don't think they're going to. So, yes, we have what everybody wants to hear. Everybody wants to see the arm wrestling match between Bobby Lashley and Apollo Cruz in an arm wrestling match. Nobody wants to see this. It's 2020, Vince. Come the fuck on. Lashley tries to cheat. Apollo one-ups him. Apollo wins. Who gives a shit? So we go backstage and we see what happened with a video package of Dominic Mysterio losing a street fight last night. Backstage, Dominic is backstage with his mother and father, Rey Mysterio right now. Charlie is at them for comments from last night and tonight. Dominic's parents are both supportive. Dominic admits being nervous and terrified, but his family backing him gave him courage to go out there and get the job done. Ray goes on about family. Rollins will have to deal with his family being together for the rest of his life. Of course, Ray says that Seth will have a family soon. He'll know what he put my family through. Of course, he's going to have a family soon. He's going to have a baby at the end of the year, but that's neither here nor there. Ray puts over his son. Some more, says we're looking to the future of Raw. Boat back to commercial break. And then we have Lana in the ring with Natalya. Lana praises Natalya on the mic. Then Natalya interrupts and says she will get her Hall of Fame induction on her own because she is the greatest of all time, which Lana says with her. Natalya says they're here tonight to pay tribute to Mickie James. They're going about Mickie riding their coattails and says tonight they will retire the chick with the kick. That was Trish Stratus, and she retired 13 years ago. Natalia tells us to watch this real highlight package she made of Mickie James' greatest highlights. They point to the screen, and it's blank. They laugh about it. Mickie James runs down. As the music hits, she immediately drops Natalya. Lana comes over, but Mickie drops her with a chick kick, the Mick kick, or whatever they want to say. Mickie is all smiles as the music starts back up. They back up the ramp, asking if we missed her. Yeah, well, as long as they do something with her, I mean, come on. Mickie James deserves better than just being set on the sidelines or doing stupid matches like this. Shane McMahon is backstage with his Raw Underground security. The Hurt Business walks up and Lashley wants to fight. And they have that after we go back from commercial break. So we have a couple more Raw Underground segments. You have Bobby Lashley killing somebody. Dolph Ziggler steps up. Apparently, the Ivar versus Dolph Ziggler match is not going to happen. MVP and Shelton Benjamin watch from ringside is the Shane. Ziggler also was supposed to face Eric, and that didn't happen. Ziggler and Lashley go at it. Ziggler gets on Lashley's back for a sleeper, but they keep fighting. Lashley ends up launching Ziggler face first into a wall at ringside. MVP and Shelton also make some aggression out on some enhancement talents sent into Lashley, but tossed right back out. Lashley looks for another fight, and Shane walks the mic, sending us away. Good fucking grief. Keith Lee Keith Lee's in-ring debut, going up against the Viper and the Legend Killer, Randy Orton. How would you do this? This is one of the biggest problems at WWE. They have themselves booked into a corner. You're surely not going to have Keith Lee get pinned or submitted in his first match on the main roster, are you? No, you would never do that. That would be the dumbest thing they've ever done. So, Keith Lee has a match. They lock up. Lee takes it to the corner, but Orton grabs him for a headlock as the referee warns them. Lee powers Orton off his feet, while Orton keeps the headlock applied. They run the ropes, and Lee leaps over Orton. Orton keeps running, but Lee levels him with a shoulder. Orton looks on, surprised from down in the corner. He's really surprised at what just happened. Orton comes out of the corner with an uppercut. Lee takes the strikes and catches a punch, overpowering Orton. Lee with a big overhead, belly to belly, to send Orton flying. Orton rolls out for a breather, but Lee follows. Now, Lee is keeping control towards the end of this match and sends Orton out of the ring to the floor. Lee follows and brings him back in as the referee counts. Orton kicks him and goes for a second rope DDT. Orton nails it and stalks Lee, ready to put him away. Mcintyre, out of nowhere, pulls Orton out. They fight, and he sends Orton running away through the crowd. He returns to the ring, stands tall, his music hits, and Keith Lee loses his first match on the main roster by disqualification. 2 segments, and Keith Lee has already looked terrible on the main roster. This is the best they got for this guy. Remember after Survivor Series how it was talked how Vince McMahon loves himself some Keith Lee. Then we had the Royal Rumble when he had his good entrance music on the main roster. And it was talk about how Vince McMahon loves himself some Keith Lee. If you love yourself some Keith Lee, why are you changing anything? This makes no fucking sense. Why would you change a damn thing if you actually love what you see in Keith Lee? What a fucking terrible start to the main roster career of Keith Lee, but we all should have seen that coming. After the bell, Orton pulls, hold on. We get the look at SummerSlam return for Roman Reigns, back from break, and we get look at return of Roman Reigns, and all that stuff that's going to happen on Friday. Charlie Cruz stops Drew McIntyre in the back commentate. Drew says he's really happy for his friend Keith Lee, but he doesn't need anyone fighting his battles. Charlie asks about Randy Orton and what happens tonight. Drew says he doesn't feel good because Orton tried to end his damn career. Turns to the camera to address Orton, but out from behind comes Randy Orton, knocks him down, kicks him again in the head. Officials rush over to get Orton back off as they check on Drew, and we go to commercial break. Back from break, and Charlie is outside the trainer's room where Drew McIntyre is. She overheard the doctor talking in the room that it sounds like Drew could have a potential skull fracture and possible bleeding of the brain, which could be career-ending or career-threatening. That's just what she overheard from the doctors in the room and not confirmed. But we will get an update later on. And I'm sitting there wondering, there's like so much time left. What else is there? And I forgot that we still have 2 matches. Lumberjack match, Sasha Banks versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. I don't know why this match is happening. I don't know why Sasha Banks gets another opportunity. She lost. And it doesn't make any sense why this is a Lumberjack match. I can't stand Lumberjack matches. Period. They're just awful. But this match was a Lumberjack match in spirit. And yes, they had Lumberjacks out there. But they didn't do anything. They almost didn't do anything. And so Bayley was being chased by Asuka later, like towards the end of the match. And Bayley was sending all the heels towards Asuka, and Asuka was knocking him down until Sasha Banks threw Asuka into the steel steps. They didn't do anything. Then you had Bayley getting a chair from under the ring as Sasha Banks is getting her ass kicked, and she's like, give me the chair, give me the chair. Bazer comes out of nowhere, stops her, grabs her, pulls the chair away, and Asuka takes advantage for the distraction and applies the Asuka lock to Banks from behind. Banks ends up tapping, and Asuka retains her championship. 2 belts Banks will not happen again. Asuka stands tall for her music hit. Bayley rolls in to check on Banks, and she's not happy. We go to replays. Banks and Bayley stare up at Asuka in the mat as she stands tall. Bazer stares at the tag team champions on the floor. Of course, it makes sense for Bazer to get involved, but again, I don't know why the match is happening. There was no reason to give her another championship opportunity. She didn't deserve one. She didn't need one. And now that that's over with, the inevitable breakup for Bayley and Sasha Banks continues on. We go backstage and we see an ambulance driving away. Charlie Cruz says Drew McIntyre is being sent to a local medical facility to undergo further testing. Keith Lee is there. Lee says a big part of him wanted to tell Drew not to interfere in his debut match, but he understands and just saw his friend get taken away in an ambulance. Lee says fortunately Drew is one of the toughest men he has met, and he knows he'll be okay, but Randy won't be. I can't say the same for him, he said. He walks off. It would be confirmed that at Payback, it will not be Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre in a second match for the title. It'll be Randy Orton versus Keith Lee at Payback. WWE booking themselves in a corner again. You can't have Keith Lee lose his debut match on pay-per-view. You can't have Randy Orton lose another pay-per-view match as he's still vying for the WWE Championship. You booked yourself in the corner. What the hell are they going to do now? I couldn't tell you. So that is something I don't know what's going to happen at Payback between those two. We'll talk about that again on Friday. But Keith Lee is going to be suffering very, very fast and very, very soon. Go to Raw Underground. Bobby Lashley beats up Cedric Alexander. I really don't care. The Raw Underground stuff is still trash. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. This was your main event. So, Dominic Mysterio is like 22 or 3 or 4 years old. This is his second match his second professional wrestling match in WWE and probably ever. And he's main eventing a Monday Night Raw. He has had more TV time and has had more stock put into him than Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali, Ricochet, and even Apollo Cruz combined. Let that sink in. Dominic Mysterio has been pushed more than majority of the mid-card. Could you imagine? Wow. Now, Dominic Mysterio tonight looked way better than he did last night. This was a pretty good match going on here, but the ending. We get a double 619 at the end of this match. Dominic goes up. He goes up for the frog splash. Lights start flickering. We have not even heard a mention of Retribution at all tonight. Nothing on Retribution. And then we get to the end of the show. And what happens? Lights flickering. Dominic's like, what the fuck's going on? Seth Rollins pushes him off. All of a sudden, Retribution is in the ring. Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins walk away. Dominic's in the middle of the ring by himself. Retribution is sitting there watching. It's taunting him while Rey Mysterio is on the outside. They're like, that's your dad? Rey Mysterio and Retribution allows Rey Mysterio to come in. They beat up on Rey Mysterio and Dominic. Throw them both out of the ring. They have 2 bigger guys this time, which is crazy. They torpedo Rey Mysterio into the ring post. They continue standing over Rey and his son, taunting and yelling at them. Retribution stands tall on the apron as Rollins and Murphy look on from the stage. And of course, the fans in the virtual thing give a thumbs down. Who gives a shit? And that's how Raw went off the air. So, Monday Night Raw ended off with